Now, I've set up tons of businesses in the cannabis industry over the years, and every one of them struggled to find insurance. Even today, they're struggling to find quality insurance. And this is a cautionary tale for make sure if you get an insurance policy, you understand what the policy says it covers and what it excludes. Now, this is Conifer Insurance Company out of Michigan. It's a Michigan court, and this is beyond the pleading stage. They filed um, for breach of the insurance contract and some equitable remedies after a fire in 2020 burned down their grow house, and they thought they had a fire insurance policy. And it turns out that they didn't have an emergency extinguishing system in the building, and that was what we call a condition precedent to coverage. If you don't have one of those, you don't have fire coverage. And it also turns out that the insurance company sent inspectors in several times to take a look around, and they renewed the policy from 2017 to 2020 when the fire occurred. And so when they had a fire and they made the claim, they went in and did an inspection, and there was no emergency extinguishing system in the building. Now, I've had these problems many times here in California, where the only kind of business you could rent, only building you get, is old as dirt. They may have a couple of pipes hanging from the ceiling, but they're not really a water sprinkling system. So it becomes an issue and a problem. And I don't know who actually owned the building. The name of the plaintiff is 23771 Blackstone, which sounds like it's the street it was on. Okay, so I don't know who owns the building, but the fire policy was not strictly a fire policy. It was a policy that included fire coverage. So that turned out to be a problem here also, because when the claim was made, they filed suit and they went into discovery. And part of the initial state of the case was that the plaintiffs agreed that there was, in fact, no emergency extinguishing system in the building, period. Okay? So they sunk their ship from the gate because the defendants filed for what we call summary judgment, say there's no triable issue of fact. If you don't have an emergency extinguishing system, there is no coverage. And that was what the court held. It went to the appellate court. The appellate court said, hey, we read this clearly, unambiguously. If you don't have one of these systems, you don't have fire coverage. And despite the fact they went out and looked around a couple of times, they weren't looking around for the plaintiff. There was no disagreement or ambiguity in what the coverage said. So they got denied. I don't know how much of a loss this was for them, but if you have a fire in your building and it's not insured, this is worse than being scammed for 600,000 bucks. I mean, you may be totally done, and there's no chance you're going to get a recovery of this loss. So, as a cautionary tale, anybody out there who's in the cannabis industry right now or looking to get into it, I work with insurance agents and coverage counsel. And when we have any question about what's required for coverage or what actually is covered, I have my insurance agent work with us and coverage counsel, because every policy has a declarations page in it which tells you this is what we cover, and it has exclusions in it. This is what we don't cover. And if you think, oh, I got a policy, I'm golden, and you don't read it, then you're dumb as a box of rocks, okay? Because you're going to get screwed at some point here, and it's too late when you've had the event and you go, oh, I'm covered, and they go, oh, sorry, you're not covered. The cautionary tale here is find an insurance agent you can trust that will provide coverage in the cannabis industry. Find an attorney you can trust, and I know that's a big ask because too many of them are just full of shit and want your money. But find somebody you can trust, and when I have any questions, I rely on coverage counsel to read the policy and tell me exactly what does it cover and what doesn't it cover, and what do I have to do to make sure I'm covered. That's my cautionary tale. Little pleading stuff in there. I'm going to have you guys a law degree before we're done here. And I'm going to throw it back at you about your own war stories and your own cautionary tales. Be careful. Insurance will make or break your business. Throw it back at you.
Dale, do we know what started this fire, Dale?
I didn't. I mean, I didn't read all the
Yeah,
pleadings,
It
so I
was
don't
a
know. It's just
spark. The
electrical.
spark started it.
I mean,
it
listen,
was
you know
LeBron.
Jason as
It
well
was
as I do.
LeBron
Like
Capital.
when we, I'm sorry, Dale, go ahead.
Oh, it's just LeBron passing one. That's what
It was
started
LeBron.
Okay.
Yes.
But like, a lot of
LeBron,
times,
LeBron was.
especially in the grow houses, we do these wirings, right? And
Uh-huh.
people aren't doing shit up to code. And I'm not saying that this happened at this spot, it wasn't up to code. But a lot of times, even when they're up to code, you're having water, you have wind, you have a lot of things moving in a grow house. You're trying to mimic nature, and fires happen. I had multiple grow houses. Thank God nothing like burnt down on that scale, but where it could have been bad, where things shorted out on like the breaker box or on the sub breaker.
I mean, it even could have been a bulb exploding, Luke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could be something very small,
anything.
very small.
Sometimes the trays will overflow, and they'll hit a extension cord that's on the ground and things like that. So it's all there's multiple things that can happen. To
Yeah,
cause
but
fire.
hitting an extension cord if there's water, that's not going to cause a fire.
Yeah. You're not going to get coverage if you've got an extension cord that causes a fire either. I'm sure that's going to be excluded from the policy.
Definitely.
Listen, I bring in contractors and make sure that we have everything copacetic, policies and procedures, who's responsible stuff, and it can still happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you want to make sure you don't have, I've had greenhouses where I had extension cords. Okay, trust me, I know it happens.
you know
that
about
way.
extension
When
cords,
I walk
huh?
into a client's greenhouse or in their grow facility, and I see extension cords in the ground, it's like, holy shit. If you've been, what's wrong with you? You got to fix this, because if you get a fire in here, you're going to have a lot of trouble and probably not get coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely unfortunate, man. I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, I'm anti, like, I guess you guys can figure out I'm anti-establishment on a lot of stuff, and insurance companies are in that loop. Like, I think insurance companies are crooks straight up. And I think like we pay them for over a lifetime every month, and the second I want to use the coverage that I paid a lifetime for, they try to find a million ways to not pay me and to leave people out high and dry a lot of times, even in cases when it was legitimate causes that they should have covered.
Well, that's how they get all that big money, Luke.
Yeah, that's the reason why every big city, the biggest buildings are
insurance
insurance
companies.
buildings.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Hey, I was an
Insurance
insurance
companies.
defense attorney for decades. I understand how it works, okay? And my job was to find ways to get them out of having to pay money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. And I was pretty good at it, and they liked me, okay? But I also understand that when I pay a policy, I want the goddamn policy to pay out if I have a loss, okay? So again, a cautionary tale. If you're in the business or you're going in the business, you need to find an insurance agent and an attorney to review your policies to make sure you are covered. And what do you have to do to maintain coverage? This is important because these people may lose their business
Mm-hmm.
because this is an uninsured loss. Businesses cannot run without insurance. As much as we all hate those insurance companies, if you don't have insurance, you can't run a successful business in any industry.
I mean, it's the
That's
rules.
facts.
They make you have to get it. You don't have a choice.
Mhm.
You have to have it.
Yeah.
Well, in many cases they do. And I just did a lease the other day, and it had a list of insurance coverage we had to have. I called up the agent, and he sent the policies over to me to make sure we review them, make sure they cover what's in the lease for your possessory interest, loss of business, personal property, all that kind of stuff, comprehensive general liability, all that stuff. What does it cover? What doesn't it? And I'm not even that good at it, okay? So if you're going to be in this industry, I'm telling you, you need to find someone who can look at your policies and make sure you're covered, or bend over and lube up, because you're going to lose your business.
You are gonna.
We need to
lose.
make sure that's on the pull
Like a rock.
string,
Bend over and lube
Bend
up like a
over and
rock.
pull up is
Yeah.
on the pull string.
And when you hear the
Exactly.
zipper come down, brace yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I
Exactly.
feel like we're in a Dr. Dre music video right now.
Oh boy. And on,
Hey,
yeah.